let's go to the NFC South then.
Yep.
Where the Carolina Panthers currently reign supreme. They had a great season, 15-1. It just didn't work out in the Super Bowl. Cam Newton, I mean, if he, fall on the ball. That's all I got to say. But I mean, do you think 15 wins is a pretty steep thing to do 2 seasons in a row? But do you think they can, you know, uh, win this division again?
Yeah, I think they'll definitely win the division. I don't think that I don't know that I can't say for sure that they're going to win 15 games. But I mean, just looking at last year's statistics and thinking about like how the awards went and all that stuff, you're talking about arguably the number one quarterback in the league. You have the best middle linebacker in the NFL. You have a top 3 tight end in the NFL right now. And you have overall, as a collective unit, the number one defense in the NFL. And that screams success. And I think that's what they're going to find. I think Josh Norman could be a huge blow. Like I said before, he was on the bubble of being cut last year. So
Right.
he was just kind of a shock and a surprise to everybody. I mean, just as much, as he was to the Carolina Panthers. It wasn't like the Panthers were coming out of camp saying, hey, this Josh Norman kid is going to take over and be the best corner in the league. I mean, it wasn't like they were predicting it either. But they have the talent, they have the pieces. I think in another year, things could change as free agency starts to come for their young guys.
Yeah.
Going into their second contracts, things could get interesting. But I think right now, Carolina, I think for many, is going to be the favorite to get back to the Super Bowl for the NFC right now. Just overall, as a team, I think they're the best roster on paper.
Yeah.
For the NFC.
Man, you gotta love that defense. They have such a good defense, and my favorite part of it all is their linebacking core. Luke Kuechly.
Yeah. Thomas Davis.
Thomas Davis and Shaq Thompson. I really like Shaq Thompson. I think this could be a breakout year for him. In my preview article on mysports.com for the Panthers, I made the bold prediction that all 3 of their starting linebackers will make the Pro Bowl. So
All right.
that's
I can agree with that, and I think to go along with that, I don't think it would be far fetched for you to take that one step higher and say that all 3 make the Pro Bowl, with 2 of them being all pros. I don't think that's out of the question either.
Sure, I think Kuechly is going to be an All Pro for sure. Thomas Davis could as well. But and Cam Newton, I think he will have another good year. Might not be MVP, but I think he will have another solid year. I think the Denver Broncos kind of figured out how to stop him, with big pass rushers. So I think, a lot of teams, especially teams in the NFC South, were jotting down some notes during that game. But I think they're going to be a really good team, and I have them winning 11 games.
Yeah, I do want to give credit where credit is due. I think one of the most overlooked guys on their roster. I may have the wrong name here, but correct me if I am wrong. Kirk Coleman, the safety for them, was that last year he led at 8 interceptions. I mean, when one guy is creating 8 turnovers just based off of interceptions by himself, is a huge bonus. I mean, it's not very often we get guys who, top 5 interceptions for the season, but when you're talking about getting on the upper side of close to double digits, I mean, that's impressive. I mean, like I said, he had 8 last year, and that's giving the Carolina Panthers essentially 8 more drives and 8 more chances to score points than other teams that they're facing.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's essentially a half an interception per game, which creates opportunity for you to win. And I think he was definitely overlooked as one of their top players last year.
Yeah.
And I think he is a key piece over the top as a big playmaker for them as well.
Yeah, a lot of guys stepped up in games here and there. One of them, Coney Ely, who had a big Super Bowl. I mean, also their defensive tackles are so good. Star Lotulelei, Kawan Short, and they just drafted another guy.
Butler.
Vince Butler from Louisiana Tech. And then they also have Paul Salai now, who played for the Falcons.
Vernon Butler.
Not
Vince. There you go.
Vince Butler. Vince Butler. He's a linebacker, I think. But they also have Paul Salai coming from the Atlanta Falcons, another huge monster. I'm sorry, I did not mean to call him monster. I'm sure he's a very nice guy, but he's very big though. So they have just 4 huge defensive tackles. Man, that's all I gotta say.
They really are. I mean, the Carolina Panthers are scary. They have the right head coach in place, Ron Rivera, who was a part of that Smash Mouth Bears defense through the 80s and 90s as a linebacker for them. Shula, for a while, was one of the up-and-coming young coaches. Now getting his
that was a long time ago.
Right. But I mean, now he's finally getting a chance as an offensive coordinator to really showcase his abilities and could be one of the hottest coordinators this offseason. And possibly become a head coach next year. Same with their defensive coordinator, McDermott. Was a hot target this past year, but the 2 coordinators obviously weren't able to really go out and interview due to the postseason success that the Panthers had. But I mean, this whole coaching staff, this whole roster from top to bottom, just screams Super Bowl champs. Last year, obviously, things happened. The Broncos won, Peyton Manning rides off on the white horse, whatnot. But I think if anybody is the favorite to go back to the Super Bowl and win it this year, I think if you're in Las Vegas, I think that's the team who has the best odds.
All right. Let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons. If you solely play fantasy football, they might be the second best team in the league.
Yep.
They got Julio Jones and Devontae Freeman, both of which had just unbelievable seasons. The Falcons had a pretty good year under Dan Quinn. I believe they went 8-8, I want to say. And they were the only team to beat the Carolina Panthers in the regular season. And I think that says a lot. What do you think about Atlanta?
I think a lot of people, when they talk about Atlanta, I think they talk about Atlanta in a disappointing way because they started off so hot. I want to say they started off something like 5-0 or something crazy.
Yeah, I believe it was 5-0.
Crazy like that.
Yep.
Where just people were like, "Oh my, the Falcons are back. They got all this and they got that." But remember, they had a new head coach, new systems put into place. New players that they were still trying to fix their offensive line and their defensive line. They had rookies who were playing all over the place. And now, you're getting rid of Roddy White. There was a lot of change. And even though they started out fast, this year I think is the year that if they struggle, you can be disappointed. But this could really be the year that we consider the Falcons kind of back, so to speak. If Matt Ryan fixes the turnover game, I think the Falcons could be a team to watch out for. But yeah, they're definitely headed in the right direction. I think 8-8. You got to look at that as success, not as a failure.
Yeah.
Especially where they were 2 years ago.
And especially with Dan Quinn in his first season, that's always positive.
Yeah. And I mean, if you look at the guys who have left Seattle, I mean, we're talking about Jacksonville as one of the possibly the breakout teams in the NFL with Gus Bradley, and then Dan Quinn was the guy kind of behind him. I think Pete Carroll does a good job of preparing these guys for jobs, and I think that Dan Quinn will be the next guy to really showcase that.
Seattle Seahawks defensive coordinators that are bald and have goatees. That's the motif there. That's apparently. But
the trend has been stopped. I will say that.
Who's their defensive coordinator now?
He is not Caucasian. So the trend has been stopped.
Okay. I'm okay with that. I think Matt Ryan may be the most underrated quarterback in the league. I would put him above Andy Dalton as the most underrated quarterback in the league. And you don't seem to like that, but...
It's not that I disagree with it. You can't be underrated when you turn the football over. I I mean, to me, that's just
Everybody turns the football over.
No, I know. But when okay, Aaron Rodgers is obviously the best quarterback in the league, and he's elite by all means. But when you account for over 30 turnovers in a season, I don't think you can be underrated. You have something to prove, in my opinion.
All I gotta say is he's got ice in that veins. He's got ice in those veins. I have them winning 10 games this year.
Okay.
I have high hopes for Atlanta. I think Devontae Freeman's a good back, but I think they could win 10 games even if he doesn't have that same kind of season. So
yeah, and
they have Tevin Coleman as well. Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. And the guy that they have teaming with him, Tevin Coleman, is
he's good
he's just as good. I mean, could be just as good given the same opportunities. I mean, obviously he was hurt last year, so that impacted him a lot. But I mean, he is a stud back as well.
All right, let's take it all the way down to Bourbon Street. Get our party on.
Okay.
Talk about the Nolan Saints. I'm sorry if that was insensitive. The New Orleans. All right, what do you think about the Saints?
Yeah, I actually was going to ask you. So what?
Oh, great.
What bad part of the New Orleans Saints are we going to talk about first?
Oh boy. Let's start with their defense.
Okay, so the defense is historically awful. It's not quite as bad as their offense outside of Drew Brees.
I mean, they have some good safeties. I like Kenny Vaccaro, and is Jarius Byrd actually healthy now? Is that official?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. I don't think he's ever been healthy with the New Orleans Saints.
I think he's collecting a check.
I think.
But that's about it.
I think they put him in a nursing home, actually.
That could be. No, I really like Kenny Vaccaro. I really like. I'm gonna mess this up. Is it Jordan Cameron?
It's Cam Jordan. Think
Cam Jordan.
Because he shortens his name from Cameron to Cam.
Okay. Because I know it's the exact opposite of the tight end.
Right, Jordan Cameron.
And I always get those guys mixed up. But yeah, I like him as well. But outside of those two guys, they really don't have a lot to offer defensively. They're really, really bad defensively. Yeah. They got a new coordinator in there. Rob Ryan is gone. But they need magic and they need Jesus to fix this defense.
Hey, you can always have Jesus.
That's right.
Jesus is always with you. But with their offense, I want to talk about their offense now. Man, I don't. Did you ever like Mark Ingram? Because I never did.
No, I thought coming out of school he had a chance to be good.
Sure. Yeah, no, he was a first-round prospect, but I've never really liked him. I don't think he's a very good running back.
I think he's okay, but I think he's a powerful runner. I mean, as a running back, he's not somebody
he's a guy you want at the 3-yard line. I will say that. But besides that, what's there to give? They traded the wrong running back when they gave away Chris Ivory. And CJ Spiller's done nothing. I would say their best offensive player might just be Coby Fleener.
Well, I mean, they have Coby Fleener. Obviously Drew Brees is still going to do Drew Brees things.
Is he? But is he?
I think so.
I don't know if he will.
I think Drew Brees could still lead this league in passing yards. I mean, I definitely think that he is good enough to still do that. I can't think of the wide receiver's name right now, because Wheaton is the guy in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
Marcus Wheaton. Who's the guy that the Saints have? Similar, Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks.
I think he has.
Well, every year they say he's going to get 1,500 yards, and he hasn't. I think he's only been in the league for 2 years.
I'm not going that far. Not 1,500.
I think that was another stupid NFL.com prediction.
That is very possible.
I've stopped going on that
NFL.com.
website, so.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, he has big play potential as a slot guy. But again, offensive line is not very good. Running game is almost non-existent. They're signing Kobe Fleener to replace what they lost in Jimmy Graham and Ben Watson in the last 2 years. And the tight ends have been really, really good to the Saints over the last couple of years. But I mean, I couldn't tell you who their number one wide receiver is right now. I mean,
It's Brandon Cooks.
I mean, right. I guess he would be considered the number one target. I guess I consider him a number 3 receiver as a slot.
Right.
I don't consider him a number 1 or 2 as an outside guy. I couldn't tell you who either one of their outside wide receivers are right now. I mean, that's just how bad the Saints have gotten. And you think about it, what was it, 2009? Tracy Porter's picking off Peyton Manning, taking it to the house, and they're partying up Bourbon Street.
Seemed
now,
like lifetimes ago.
It does. And now the Saints are just bad.
And if you were wondering, it was Willie Snead is their other starting receiver.
And he had what, 700 yards last year?
He was I guess a pleasant surprise for them. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, late draft pick.
But hey, you know what? With the New Orleans, I'm gonna be cheering for the New Orleans Saints this year. You know why? Kuhn. It's gonna be all about John Kuhn this year.
He's never gonna see the field.
I just looked down their depth chart. He's the starting fullback. Kuhn. He's a special team. What?
The Saints use a fullback?
They signed him. I mean, either way, he's gonna be getting a ton of special teams time. So he's gonna be getting tackles. He's gonna be recovering fumbles. He's gonna bring.
I'm gonna take this John Kuhn chant that you just did, and I'm gonna put it in the same box as to why people don't respect James Jones, and I'm gonna lock it, and I'm gonna keep it on my desk and just never open it again.
James Jones is a good receiver. I don't care what you say.
Anyway.
New Orleans Saints. I have the Saints winning 5 games.
Yeah, they're not going to be very, very good. They will be the worst team in this division because the next team that we're about to talk about. I am very happy for, but very upset with at the same time.
Yes.
I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have big, big, big potential to be a surprise team this year, and maybe even be better than the Atlanta Falcons in that division, and possibly, not going to go as far as to say get it, but possibly be a wild card team.
Wow. Okay.
But the way that they handled the whole Lovie Smith situation upsets. I think that was a very, very poor decision on behalf of the Tampa Bay organization. The reasoning came out that it was because they were afraid that Dirk Koetter was going to end up as a head coach somewhere else, and they thought that he was way too valuable to the organization, that they decided that firing Lovie Smith and promoting him to head coach was the better decision than keeping Lovie Smith.
Yeah, we've gone on great lengths, both on and off the show about this. I mean, I think Lovie Smith, because of this, Lovie Smith has become one of the most underrated head coaches of all time. And I mean, Dirk Koetter, he's a good offensive coordinator. He has been for years. He was a great offensive coordinator for Del Rio in Jacksonville and in Atlanta. But I don't see him as a great head coach.
Yeah, and we don't know what he can be as a head coach. I don't think he's ever been a head coach.
No, he's never been a head coach before, at least in the NFL.
Right.
But they have some weapons on offense. I will give them that. Jameis Winston, I think he is everything that people said he would be coming out of the NFL. And, you know, having Mike Evans as his number 1 receiver, it's not bad. It's not a bad upgrade from having Kelvin Benjamin in Florida State. And then Doug Martin had a bounce back year. I don't think he's going to have that. I'm not big on running backs that are, 5-6 years of experience. Unless his name's Adrian Peterson, but...
So you're all for rookie running backs, but as soon as
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I think he's had enough questionable seasons where I can't trust him.
Okay, that's different. See, See, I assumed when you
Okay,
said
okay.
5 years, I assumed that anybody
Oh
who's
my
over 5 or 6 years in the league,
Look at
you're like, nope.
look at Alfred Morris though. He had some great seasons and then he just tanked.
Well, right, but how much of that also you have to look at other situations going on around that. I mean, okay, like here, for example, let's take Darren McFadden. Darren McFadden was considered to be a huge bust. You know, he had the 1,000-yard season in Oakland, but he was always hurt, always hurt, always hurt. People were claiming he's a bust, he's a bust.
He played behind the best offensive line in the league last year.
And he
I think I could have ran for 1,000 yards.
Right, but you got to take everything else into effect that goes along with that, outside of just being in. You know, Grant, I will give you that. I mean, Doug Martin has been extremely inconsistent, but with his play is also connected to how good is Tampa Bay's offensive line. You know what I mean?
And they've been getting better. They've been getting better.
Right.
They've been adding some pieces. They had 2 starting offensive linemen from the draft last year. I know one of them's, I think, Ollie Marpet. Is that right?
Yep, the center, I believe.
Wait, isn't Dietrich? I think Dietrich Smith is their center.
Okay, Marpet could be a guard then. And didn't they get Logan Mankins from the Patriots?
He retired.
He did retire. Okay.
He retired, and then they have another tackle that they drafted high in Donovan Smith, I think.
That could be.
Donovan
from
Smith.
Alabama?
I think from Penn State.
Penn State, okay.
But yeah, they're I think we can both agree they're an improving team, both offensively and defensively. I love Levante David. You know, I think he's one of the best middle linebackers in the game right now. And one of my favorite rookies this year is Vernon Hargreaves III. I was really high on him on the draft, and I was really happy when he got 2 interceptions in one game. It was preseason, but because apparently even Dak Prescott can be good in the preseason. But and I digress. But I have them winning 6 games.
Okay.
I think
one of the pieces that, if he can stay healthy, I think Austin Seferian-Jenkins, as a athletic tight end, could be a really big piece and a really good security blanket for Jameis Winston if he's not able to push the ball down the field. Some Mike Evans, but yeah, I think Tampa Bay to me is one of the teams. Maybe not this year, but next year they will be one of the teams to watch out for.
Okay.
In the upcoming future.
They had a preseason game tonight, and apparently it's just pouring rain or whatever. It's a torrential downpour, and just minutes before they took a picture of the stadium, and it's almost completely empty. They're playing,
really?
But it's 20-3
in the fourth quarter. The Redskins are winning
against the Buccaneers.
Yep.
I would love to see the attendance for that game because I bet you it's under 10,000.
Has there ever been a game where 0 people go?
Maybe like in the 1910s or something. But even then, it costed a nickel to go to the game. I don't know.
Right.
Was that the entire division? That was the entire division. I have Panthers 1, Falcons 2, Tampa 3, and New Orleans 4.
And I have the exact same thing.
Well, I think the NFC East, I think that's good enough for us for a change. But
well, I don't know. We still got the West and the Central
okay.
yet. So